Welcome to the Vidcast of the Owl at Purdue, where we deepen our knowledge of rhetoric, logic, invention, and communication. Whether you want to know more about the ancient history of rhetoric, or just get some advice on how to choose the best medium for your message, the Owl Vidcasts are here to guide you. Confused about all this rhetoric business? This vidcast features a conversation between students as they discover and overview the history of rhetoric, answering the important question, what is rhetoric, and where did it come from? As you listen, try to make connections between the history of rhetoric and the many rhetorical terms like logos, ethos, and pathos you've likely already heard in your English composition class. An understanding of where terms come from helps us think more critically about their use today. Enjoy the vidcast.
When I think of rhetoric, I think of it primarily as an awareness of the language choices that we make.
Yeah, I guess I think of it that way too. But there's a history to rhetoric as well. I mean, isn't it almost impossible to talk about rhetoric without talking about that history?
Yeah, I think you're right. When most people think of rhetoric, they think about politicians using language just to get what they want. But there is a long history to rhetoric that is really important.
Yeah. Rhetoric, as we know it, first came out of a Greek tradition of preparing speeches. Greek elders who were experts in rhetoric would teach young, wealthy Greek boys specific rhetorical tools that the boys would then practice.
They would memorize long speeches using these rhetorical tools.
Right. And this went on for a long time. But the problem was, not everybody was allowed to do this.
What do you mean by that?
Well, there was a belief that only certain classes of people were qualified to participate in these activities, but that changed when the Sophists came along.
Yeah, who were the Sophists again?
The Sophists believed that they could teach anybody to use rhetoric for the right amount of cash. They thought that anybody could use rhetorical strategies to be an effective speaker.
Yeah, but not everybody was very happy with the Sophists about that. In fact, some people thought that they were ruining this ancient art called rhetoric.
They did believe that, and that's part of the reason that rhetoric came to be seen as negative. People thought that if everybody learned how to use rhetoric, the strategies would become meaningless and empty, and then people wouldn't be concerned with the morality or truth of their arguments.
Fortunately, though, that's not what happened. Instead, as we moved from more oral to written traditions, we found that we could apply these rhetorical strategies to our writing to make it more effective.
But here's where I don't get it. I understand the history, but how does an understanding of these strategies make writing more effective?
Well, if you think about writing as a process of making an argument, this might make more sense. I don't mean argument in the negative sense of the word, but more as argument as persuasion.
So rhetoric then is using the available means of persuasion to make an argument.
Well, I get it. So I use these rhetorical strategies to shape my writing. Now I understand why instructors talk so much about terms like audience, ethos, pathos, logos, and others when they talk about rhetoric. These are all tools we use to make our arguments more effective.
Exactly. So like I said earlier, rhetoric is about using language in the most effective way. Applying rhetorical strategies helps you make choices in your writing so that you know how best to use language to make your point.